the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast here on this Monday morning. We're glad that you've joined us wherever and whenever it is that you join us each and every day here on Auburn Blitz and making Auburn Blitz part of your daily Auburn athletic intake. It's Brett and Faith to get you started for your week. And Faith, good morning.
Good morning. Happy Monday morning.
Happy Monday to you. A lot of times people aren't just real excited about Mondays, but we bring people a little bit of excitement, especially Auburn people. And we had a scrimmage this past weekend that nobody was able to see. Actually, it took place on Friday, so all of us have been talking about this and getting notes. And for some of the people that were there and trying to use our contacts and all to kind of get some intel on this. And we've got some pretty detailed information to share with everybody. So we're going to lock in and talk about that. Also, Baylor suffered a pretty big loss. I mean, there's no other way to spin it. And again, we don't wish that on anybody. We don't want to look. These kids work their butt off, and you want to go play whoever it is that you're playing at their full strength. I mean, that's just the way it is. And again, just like us, let's knock on wood and hope that we can stay injury free going into the first game. We've got some guys that have sat out. That haven't participated as much just for precautionary reasons more than anything, not because they couldn't practice, but just say, okay, let's just kind of wait and see, and no sense to really go hard here because we know what these guys can do. So, so hopefully we can stay that way because we are pretty healthy overall as a team. But I guess we'll start with Baylor. Dawson Pendergrass, Faith, he was one of their top two running backs. You and I have been talking about Bryson Washington and Dawson Pendergrass and Sawyer Robertson for about a month now. That was the three-headed monster they had back there at quarterback and the two running backs. And a lot of production went out the window when Dave Aranda announced that Dawson Pendergrass suffered a foot injury that's going to require some kind of surgery. So he's not going to be available. I mean, he'll come back, but he obviously won't be back for the Auburn game. And he was not the number one running back on the roster, but you and I have been talking about the game plan for Baylor. And we were kind of speculating on what they would do if the game was close. They would try to run the football and try to wear Auburn down in the fourth quarter with two guys like Washington and Pendergrass. Now they don't have it. So how will that shape, inform Baylor's game plan moving forward? I mean, these two guys, been used to playing with each other for a couple of years. Now most of the responsibility falls on Washington's back, Faith.
Yeah, it's definitely something that is a bummer for them, but also, like you just said, you want to play each team at their full potential so that you can show your full potential. You work so hard during the off season for the first game, for that full season, and it's disappointing for him and their offense because, like you said, their run game has been really good, and that they probably were going to have to count on that for against Auburn. And I think the best way for Auburn to, I guess, use this in a positive way for them is just going to be to really get Washington tired and make them rely. I mean, Sawyer Robinson, he's shown that he's a great quarterback and he can do a lot of things, but definitely you want to get their run game slowed down and make them rely on throwing the ball. I
think if my numbers are correct, I don't have them in front of me. I think he rushed for almost 700 yards last year, and Washington rushed for over 1,000. But over the last couple of years, Pendergrass I think 1,300 total yards, 14 touchdowns. So, and it's more than just him running the football that you lose. You lose another blocker. I think both of those guys were on the field a lot at the same time. So you kind of mix it up. And, I think he was a pretty good pass catcher out of the backfield. So now that whole element is gone so much that I don't know if this was what made the line move, but we went from a 1.5 favorite to a 1.5 underdog now to a 2.5 point favorite. So this thing's kind of hopping. And again, people get caught up in lines and all that kind of stuff is for the gamblers out there. And basically the line moves because people put money on one team versus another. But with that being said, obviously people understand the production that Baylor lost when Pendergrass went down. It'd be no different if Auburn lost one of their star receivers.
Right.
He's a guy that you definitely were going to rely on if you were Baylor, and now you're not going to have him there. It should not change the mentality of what Auburn's doing at all. Like you said, I think that basically is what you said a minute ago. You've still got to approach the game like he's playing, and like you don't need to worry about what's going on with their team. You need to worry about making sure you're buttoned up on your side, and I think that's what Auburn will do.
There's no doubt that they will, but definitely they're going to take into consideration just maybe not too much of a different approach, but just like I said, maybe trying to tire out Washington and I don't know, just kind of see what they're going to do, but definitely disappointing for Baylor. And I'm sure they're getting a little bit concerned.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you lose somebody of that caliber, you got to figure out a way to pick up the pieces. I looked down their depth chart, and they've got a freshman, Caden Knighton, that they're high on. Now is going to have to step in and probably play. Not that I didn't think I don't know. I don't follow Baylor. So, he may be in the mix offensively already anyway. But now he's definitely going to be in the mix because I don't think you're going to see, Bryson Washington carry the ball every single time.
Right.
So they'll go to that. But just thought we'd lead with that. But let's get to some of our partners here because we appreciate them so very much. Sensagreen.
For air that's cool and clean, call on Sensagreen. They are the carrier experts in the state of Alabama, proud supporter of Auburn athletics and a proud supporter of the Auburn Blitz podcast. With how warm it is, you want to make sure you've got a reliable air conditioning unit, and Sensagreen will save you thousands of dollars on a carrier unit.
Such great people over there at Sensagreen. And talking about great people, Scout Program Management, a full construction management firm located in Birmingham, Alabama, serving the Southeast, got tons of projects going on. If you have a multi-million-dollar project that you're about to start or you're in the planning phases of that, call Scout. That's what they do. They make sure that your project will be good from the pre-planning stages all the way to the finished product. And I know, and I have witnessed them work on multiple $100+ million projects, and everything they do is top notch, and they hold the contractors and all the builders accountable to make sure everything's done correctly. So call on Scout Program Management in Birmingham.
In Bunkers in downtown Auburn. Bunkers is so awesome. The environment there, I drove past the other day and it was packed. So that was awesome to see. They've got 27 different sports on the golf simulator bays. They've got great food, great drinks, and also just going and splitting the golf simulator bays with your friends. It's not that expensive and it's so much fun.
A lot less than around the golf, I can tell you that. And if you go in there and split that up, hey, that's kind of sad. Not sad that it was packed, but sad that it was packed and we weren't there. So
I know.
So we'll make that trip back to Bunkers again. I think it's time to announce what we'll be doing for this coming up football season, right? The post game, is it? Do you want to wait till the end of the show to do that? Then we need to do
wait
that
until the end of the show.
I just thought maybe on a Monday, and then we'll talk about it more. But I think it's time to announce what we're going to do for post games on football games. So we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. So stay with us on that for that news. Okay, let's talk about the scrimmage. Faith, we weren't there. Okay, so nobody else that you're watching out there, if you're watching other podcasts, were there either. Okay, let me just go ahead and say that. And so Jason came over to Baumhauer's. By the way, had a great show Friday at Baumhauer's. A ton of people watched that online. Thanks to Travis Wisdom for coming over. It was perfect timing, I thought, to talk about Malcolm Simmons' hearing. By the way, Malcolm did end up going to the scrimmage but didn't participate. But after his hearing, but I had Travis on with us. Also had Jason Caldwell on with us, and we were all sitting there talking to different people and trying to get some intel on what had happened. And of course, we were able to get some notes, and so everything's kind of the same. But the one thing I'll start with, and I'm just going to give my 2 cents on this, and I want to hear yours. The theme of this camp has been defense, and the defense dominated the scrimmage Saturday. And I had so many people text me and go, "Well, our offense must suck," and it's here we go again. And there's a lot of different ways to look at this. And I'm not trying to spin this. Okay. So I want to go ahead and give a disclaimer. I'm not trying to give any type of Auburn spin to make this sound like it's something that it's not. I really think our defense is that damn good. I do. Now, should the offense have some moments? They should. And it's a little bit scary, I guess, concerning, whatever word you want to use, that you didn't hear of much coming out of the offense in the scrimmage, and all you heard was defense, secondary, what you and I have been talking about after practice to everybody pretty much every time. There should be some plays in there, and I think they made a couple plays, but nothing really to wow you or anything that of any consistency. So, yeah, legit concerns is what I put on the bottom of the screen this morning, because I want to know where we are offensively, because is it because our defense is that dominating? And when we get in games and they play against other teams, it's going to feel like you took the donut off the bat when you're in the batter's circle. I heard another buddy of ours use that as a reference earlier. But when you do that, what are you getting a good picture of what the offense can really do? Because again, we know we're an RPO style offense, so they blow the whistle. You're not seeing, quarterbacks run down the field and make plays. And I think majority of what we've seen these quarterbacks so far has been running, has been their strength. But I'm a little concerned maybe in the offense, and I've got another take on that. But what's your thoughts?
Well, I was going to ask you, where do you see the deficit, or where do you think offense is behind?
All right. That's what I was going to go into, and then you ask it, so I'm going there already. I'm still concerned about the confidence of Jackson Arnold. Like, that was what Hugh Freeze said he was concerned about. And we heard him say, we're going to ask DJ Durkin to kind of back off a little bit early to give him some confidence. I'm still hearing he's holding the ball too long. He's a little indecisive. And I know he's not wanting to make a mistake, but is he overthinking that too much that he's not able, or is the defense we've seen the cornerbacks play in practice. And I've got a take on that too, that I haven't heard anybody say this. So I'm going to be on an island by myself. I'm going to be John Cohen over here saying August 1st if this isn't the right take on this. But I'll get back to that in a minute. But, is it the defense is that good and that he doesn't have windows to throw? And if he did, he'd just be forcing it in there, and he doesn't want reports come out of practice that he threw 3 picks and he looked bad and all that kind of stuff. So, there's a lot of different ways to look at that, Faith. And I think he's got to be confident. We know that this all boils down to the quarterback position, and how well the quarterback position is going to perform this year is going to dictate how successful this offense ultimately is. And it's early in the camp. It is early, but I'm telling you, there should be a little bit of concern that there's not a little bit more right now that you're seeing out of some of these quarterbacks and some of the plays that they're making.
Where do you think Jackson is going to be able to gain that confidence? Do you think it's going to take actually a game where he finds himself? because it's not going to be Baylor that he can do that with.
Right.
It might be Ball State or South Alabama, something like that. But that's past Baylor. You can't look at it like that. He needs to have the confidence before going into that Baylor game. But how do you think he's
I think
going
it's mentally. I think it's mental. I think mentally he's got to get right, that he's got the tools to be able to go out and perform, at the level he needs to perform. I mean, we know that he's got the ability. There's not a question there, but he's got to get past. I go back to Jordan Rodgers talking about him at media days. And he said, when I turn the film on, I see a guy that is unsure of himself back there that holds the ball too long. So again, but it's not like Deuce lit the woods on fire either. He made a pretty good throw, I think, in the scrimmage, but Jackson had, I think, a touchdown run. It was called back, but he made, I think, a decent throw to somebody, but we're just not seeing a lot of consistency. And there's a whole nother element to this that I think is a little bit concerning. And again, we're not hitting any panic button on here. Okay. I don't want people to go, well, man, gosh, here they are, first scrimmage, and they're writing everything off. That's not what we're doing. We're just talking about what we're hearing and what we've seen with our own two eyes. I'd just like to see a few wins on the offensive side, and maybe you will from one scrimmage to the next. We've got a media viewing window Thursday. I'm going to that. You'll be kicked back, so which is good. You'll be on vacation, so which is great. Tune up for the season, but I can go see maybe what we can get out of that as far as a window. We were fortunate enough to be able to see pretty much the whole practice the other day. So maybe we'll get a chance to do that again on Thursday. But I just think it's going to boil down to confidence. And you can't sit back there and hold the ball and wait for the perfect time to throw. You got to be able to trust your receivers and the routes and the timing. And that's why they keep talking about timing so much, because timing is like you're letting the ball go, Faith, before the receiver even makes the break a lot of times. And if you're waiting for the receiver to make the break and he's got the defensive back on his rear end, now that window that you had to throw the football has closed. So, and it sounds to me like that's what's going on with him in decision-making when it comes to throwing the football. That's just my take.
Yeah, I definitely think he's going to have to – he needs to go ahead and have that confidence before the Baylor game. I mean, there's no doubt about that. We've seen, especially in practice, how much how the receivers can make plays happen
Right.
with how good the defense is on them and the competition levels between the two of them. But it's definitely a concern just because of how the past 3 years have gone with the offense that we've had.
That's it. I think you just said it. I hadn't said that yet, but it should be a concern because that's where we've struggled the last 2 to 3 years. And, I think, again, you see Hugh Freeze go out and get Jackson Arnold, and he says, this is our guy. We heard that for 2 years with Peyton Thorne. Now, I do think Jackson Arnold is much more talented. I do at the end of the day. But can he get over whatever set him back last year at Oklahoma? And there were a lot of different elements that went into that. But you know how athletics is. A field goal kicker, it's mental. Now, you could just be sitting there nailing them, and all of a sudden you shank one, and it's now you start thinking about everything, and you overcompensate. Then you miss another one. And now it's become a head thing. And it's like, oh, well, crap, now I can't make any. And I think Jackson Arnold may have had, some struggles early. Then he gets benched, and you can say whatever you want to. That takes away a little bit of your swagger and your confidence when you have to go take a seat on the bench when you've been kind of the guy since high school and in your early part of your college career. So some comments coming in. Any developments about the AU tight end arrest? Nothing else to report other than what everybody's seen. It's just kind of crazy. We went from several years of not having anybody, and then all of a sudden it feels like the dam broke, and now we hear about something all the time. So, all right, Kelly's War Eagle from 35,000 feet. Hope you're not in a paraglider Kelly. Hope you are in an airplane. I think you are. Glenn said defense should be better than offense at this point. Offense still installing play. There's no doubt, Glenn. There's no question. You don't because if the offense had scored 5 touchdowns and everybody was running loose, everybody go, well, our defense is terrible and they're not going to stop anybody. So you can flip it back and forth. I mean, you have to take things in perspective. Glenn said the running game is must. I've got that's the part I was coming back to here in just a minute, along with the secondary. I got some thoughts on that. Who are AU's backup QBs? Well, it's going to be Deuce Knight and Ashton Daniels. Right now are the guys in the quarterback room, and I think our quarterback room is as good as we've ever had, Faith. I mean, from talent. I mean, look at how highly touted Ashton Daniels was. Look at Jackson Arnold. Look at Deuce Knight. We've got plenty of talent in the room. It's got to translate to the field. I think that's the biggest part. So Kyle said Axon Jackson's going to be fine. DJ Durkin is a menace. Yep. Team JPC being a 5-star can be a burden for sure. I mean, it can. Receivers need to play action off the run for separation. And Kelly said schedule should set up well for Arnold. Baylor bad D. Couple cupcakes. Baylor only held one team under 30 points last year. That's why they went out in the portal and got a bunch of guys to go over there and kind of fix. But they're not going to fix all their ills overnight either. So it should, in Faith, you and I have talked about that, should set up well for the offense to be able to have a good night. But I want to shift over and talk about the running backs real quick, and then I'll come back to the cornerbacks on defense. But the running backs, we're not hearing anything out of them really in these scrimmages. We did hear that Jay Crawford laid a massive hit on Damari Alston, and he was down for several minutes. Maybe knocked his helmet off. I can't confirm that. But this guy, I'm telling you, man, like Jason said it on the show Friday, Jay Crawford is maybe the best player on this team.
We were talking just before about this situation, and you said that maybe Jay Crawford could be a first-round draft pick potentially that we have not been talking about. I said, Brett, he's just a sophomore this year. Imagine, and I said, you think he's going to come back next year? I hope he does for his junior year, because the development from just last year to this year to what could he be next year, you see that guy, and we got to talk to him for a little bit after practice one of the days last week, and you hear his confidence in the defense, but also in himself. And that dude is he's like a dynamite, ready to just go in there and I mean, he lit him up from what we heard, Damari.
Yeah.
And
Damari's what, 215 pounds?
And he's a little bit on the smaller side height-wise, but he is
but he's stacked. The guy's thick.
And the fact that he's able to get in there and just light him up like that.
Well, again, this should tell everybody that, this is not going to be some, get to the season and, well, crap, all these great things we heard about defense. Where did that go? That's not going anywhere. I mean, I started the show by saying that this defense is
no doubt in the defense
ridiculous, and they're gonna be very aggressive minded. DJ Durkin has an aggressive mind on the defensive side. Can we
also talk about how DJ Durkin and the other defense coaches, how when everybody's talked about the energy levels, their energy levels as coaches has never had to be questioned because of how energetic, and that translates so well with the guys.
It does. I mean, and again, you take on the persona and the personality of your defensive coordinator a lot of times, and that's what you see is a headhunter style, aggressive defense, and they're gonna come up and hit you. I mean, we saw last year in the Arkansas game with Champ Anthony, one of the biggest hits we saw all season by anybody. a few plays later ends up breaking his leg, which was terrible. But I mean, they have no mercy on anybody at any point in time, and they play with their hair on fire the whole time. So the positive is this is what our offense is going against every time they go out on the practice field. And we do say iron sharpens iron. I keep saying that. And we had the comment the other day about steel sharpening steel, which I'd never heard, but somebody else went in there, the comments, and corrected that guy. So made me feel better. But at the end of the day, I'm worried a little bit about a running game. Omar Mabson keeps getting a lot of talk, and that's great. Are we really thinking that he's about to be a significant carrier of the ball in the offense? Or is he just, and if he is, that's great. If he's that far ahead and he's pushing people, but, we've got 3 guys that are ahead of him on the depth chart. And I do think Damari Austin's our starting running back, but, we haven't, even in practice the other day, Faith, you and I saw when they ran the ball, there was nowhere to go. And is that because the defensive line knows that are they keyed in on some of this stuff? And, I don't know. There's a lot of uncertainties. You can tell people what you see and you can report that, but there's a lot more to it sometimes than that because things are scripted. Just like in red zone, when the defensive backs were shutting the receivers down, they didn't have to honor the run because there was no run. They knew it was going to be a drill that was strictly man coverage, one-on-one, post corner routes, crossing routes. Can you cover? And they did. They hardly let any passes be caught down there. But like Jason said, when you now have to honor the run, you can't be so overly aggressive covering a guy, a receiver that you're manned up on. You gotta kind of keep your head on a swivel, look in the backfield, make sure they're not going to run the football. So it changes that. And there's another thing I don't know if you picked up on. Our defensive backs are like over aggressive. Like they're very handsy and they're grabbing a lot of jersey and pulling, and our coaches aren't really throwing flags on any of that. Will that change when you get in the game? Because there's 2 or 3. I looked at you, I said, well, that's interference. Yeah. Then they knock the ball down and everybody's jumping around and all that. I'm like, there's no way
that's not going to get called.
That's not going to get called. And are they purposely letting that go, just saying, look, we want to challenge our receivers and let them fight through it? But you also don't want your DBs going into a game, you have feeling like, oh, I'm free to do that. And all of a sudden they get in a game and there's 2 or 3 flags thrown on them and it changes their mentality. So I know you can dive into all this and overthink this stuff, but.
And that's what I don't think we are going to be doing. I don't think you and I need to go in there and dissect all that because it really isn't something for us to go in and look
Right.
at because, the conversations that they're having is a lot different than what we're just going to sit here and say. But as people that have been going and seeing, that is something that has been a conversation that you and I've had on the side just a little bit. But I don't think it's anything to be too concerned yet until, maybe we're after the Baylor game saying, oh my gosh, how many flags were thrown that whole game?
Exactly.
And then that could change the outcome of the game.
Got to let that get into the game, and then we can come back and talk about that a little bit later on if it's a concern. If not, you go, man, this group right here, and they're living up to billing. So let's get to a couple more of our partners before we move on here in the show. And again, we want to thank Old Number One Customs.
Old Number One Customs, if you've got an outdoor living space, master bathroom, kitchen, they'll come in there in just 2 weeks and they will get in and out of your house in that renovation. They will make sure it's beautiful. They've got great Instagram videos, pictures, everything that you can see the type of transformation that they're able to do. And with Brett actually being a customer of them, he's talked about his experience and how well it's been and how much they've done for him.
Yeah, and they're getting started this week. So, man, it is go time. 334-752 6162 and
JFA Blue Plumbing. While you're at it, might as well have that Home Atlas water filter duo installed. It's going to make sure you've got filtered water throughout your entire house. You don't want to have any unfiltered water that's going to turn your showers pink or brown, any of that disgusting stuff. You want to make sure that, you can drink out of every single faucet that's in your house. And that's super important for your family, kids, pets, everything. 844-JFA Blue.
And one more, Oliver Ross, and we can't thank Oliver Ross enough. Man, they're just a great group, full bartending service, licensed, trained. They will come out and let them do your party. Okay, they just got the contract again for Buckmasters, Faith. That's a 20 to 30,000 person event. They're handling the whole thing. Buckmasters would not go back to Oliver Ross and let them do that event if they didn't trust them with that many people and that much history that goes behind an event that big. But frat parties, sorority parties, tailgates, whatever it is that you're looking for, that is what Oliver Ross will take care of. Make sure you go check them out on Instagram. Great Instagram page, by the way. So go check them out there. All right. A few other comments coming in. Kyle said, I'll put Crawford, Lee, and Strader up against any three in the country, not to mention Champ Anthony. We can keep going on down the line. I mean, we just keep reeling off names. It's an overabundance of talent there in the secondary, safety and corner. Ed said Jay Crawford is a straight-up dog. We need about 60 more of him. He knocked his helmet off over against the bench. Tank Jones is just like Crawford, and they better flip him. Totally. Jay Crawford's the guy. I mean, I don't know that Auburn can flip Tank Jones, but we'd love to see him. I definitely think, and Faith, I know you do, think that he is still got a place in his heart for Auburn. He made more visits to Auburn than probably anywhere. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. And then Glenn said, can Arnold handle the questions when it comes to the backup quarterback after a bad game, because they're going to ask. So I hope he doesn't have a bad game, Glenn. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm hoping that he's going up against this group and it's that good. And we're like, man, again, when you practice against elite Alabama, I hate to use them on an Auburn show, but you don't think that had a huge deal with Alabama? So much talent on that team. You don't think that Greg McElroy and Jake Coker and Tua and all those guys going against the secondary, they had to go against every single day in practice. They got in the game. It's like, okay, this is now a guy looks like he's 10 yards wide open because in practice he's like got 2 feet to throw a pass to it. So I'm hoping that's what we're looking at, Faith.
I hope so too. And we've talked about how sometimes maybe the defense knows what they're about to do. Maybe they don't, but you just see the aggression and the drive from them. It's exciting for the defense, but I don't think we need to be too concerned yet about the offense.
I think we got to see some positives at some point, though. Just some, We need to hear some notes. We need to say, well,
there definitely does not need to be this whole conversation of, oh my gosh, are we done for on the offense? We still can't get it together. We've had the consistency of the offense being the problem, but at some point you do have to just trust your coaches. And I don't know how many times I'm going to say that, but that's where we're at.
That is where we're at, really. Some other notes, defensive line, man, they showed up.
We talked about them after practice. Good Lord.
They just a nasty group up front. I don't know how else to spin it. I mean, Jordan Crawford. I mean, how many Crawfords do we have, by the way? Jay Crawford, Jordan Crawford, Kieron Crawford. We got Crawfords all over the place.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
They're all pretty dang good too, which is great.
They are.
But the defensive line, of course, linebackers too are, I think, very athletic. We've been talking about that. So We're going to continue down this path until it's time to play a game. We all know that. And everybody's going to talk this to death, and we'll have more things will develop. We'll see kind of what happens as more of the offense is installed as they get prepared. And then when we get to game week for Baylor's where really the rubber's going to hit the road, because then you're going to have settled into who you know is going to be starting, who's going to be the ones, and you're going to be really, really getting after it starting on that Sunday leading into the game on Friday. So, we still have that game's on the 29th. So we got 18 days before kickoff. So
I'm excited.
18 days, and you and I'll be there for it. I'm excited about that, and looking forward to getting a up close view. We'll be on the sideline for the game, and I'm hoping that we're performing at a high level, and hope we get out there and get a win. That's going to be the most important thing. All right, before we get off today, got a couple of things we want to announce. We'll be at Laymark Pizza on Highway 49 today, so please come out. I've had several of you text me and say, man, I want to come down for lunch. Come on down. Seriously, come hang out with us, see us.
One of the only places open on a Monday.
I mean, yeah. And how good is the pizza? I mean, oh my God.
Oh my gosh. $8.50 for their lunch special of 2 of the big slices and a fountain drink. You can't find that anywhere.
We went to a convenience store again the other day and bought, no kidding, 2 drinks, 2 bags of chips, and a bag of gummy bears, and it was $17. I'd much rather go to Lake Martin Pizza every day and get 2 pieces of pizza and a drink for $8.50.
Well, that's going to last me for dinner too.
Well, yeah, I mean that. Yeah, you eat like
big.
a bird. She pecks away.
Hey,
but that's good. Hey, look, I mean that's not a cut. That's you're very efficient. You say you don't throw it away. You say, look, this is 2 meals for me. So, hats given away. Haven't given any hats away, Justin, but we'll have some of that coming up. We've got the new hats in, and then we've got a whole nother batch of hats coming in too that I think they're really going to want those hats.
Mm-hmm.
When we show those off, it's going to be something special. So looking forward to that. Yeah, Kyle War Eagle, to you. I appreciate all of you guys out there. Glenn said Bama's having questions at quarterback already. I think a lot of people have quarterback questions. I mean, we definitely have ours right now. So we're hoping that Jackson Arnold's able to kind of get this together. But maybe one final note on that is that, again, Hugh Freeze has pushed all his chips in on the table on Jackson Arnold. Doesn't mean that Deuce Knight doesn't play and doesn't have a package and have a role on this team, but he made it very clear who his starting quarterback was coming out of spring.
Yeah.
So, and he needs to do that. I think he needed to go ahead and say, you're our guy. Let's get it going. Get your confidence back. Go out there and be the guy we all know you can be.
Yep.
So let's see how that all plays out. All right, finally, announcement. Faye, tell everybody what we'll be doing post-game, after every game, and who our sponsor will be.
We will be doing a post-game reaction show sponsored by Pepper Tree Steaks and Wine. We know how much we both love that place. And we're really looking forward to working with them, partnering with them again. We talk about them on the noon show, and we do go there for some on location stuff, but we're really excited to have them be a part of this journey with us and, travel with us too.
Literal
on
journey.
the road.
Literal journey.
So
Yes.
yeah, really, really, really excited for this next step with them and this upcoming season, just how much we're going to be able to do with them and, hopefully be able to give back to y'all too with them.
Absolutely. So we really appreciate all of our partners, and we really appreciate Pepper Tree Steaks and Wine for jumping on board for our Auburn Blitz post-game reaction show. And we hope there's a lot of joy and jubilation in those post-game shows, and not a boatload of comments coming in over here going, this sucks, I hate this, blah, 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 he needs to be benched.
Talking about Auburn, not about Pepper Tree.
Yeah, exactly. About the game. We're hoping there's a lot of jubilation and happiness about the game. So, Kyle said that's exactly how me and my wife decide on where we go out to eat. We convince ourselves that we're buying 2 meals for the price of one.
Exactly.
You have to now. You have to. I mean, geez, man. So Justin said Pepper Tree whiskey and wine. Yeah, alluding to the LSU show. We won't be that R-rated or actually X-rated. We won't be that X-rated of a show. That one gets raunchy. That one definitely gets. It's funny when LSU loses. I'll give you that. Like T-Bob Hebert and that other guy, they lose their freaking mind, man. And that is not anything for kids or anybody that's halfway modest to watch. They don't hold back on that. Kyle, appreciate it. Congratulations on the post-game sponsorship. Look forward to hearing y'all's immediate takes from the game. We're looking forward to it too, man. 18 days away, even less for us on high school. Yeah. My God, the 22nd we get started with Benjamin Russell and Opelika. Probably be one of the best games of that opening week of the season. So looking forward to that. Down in Opelika, our good friends down there, we'll get to see them. And man, we are here. We are right here on the cusp. But hey, everybody, go and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done that. Go like all of our videos. That helps us out tremendously, of course. And if you can, come see us today on Highway 49 at Lake Martin Pizza. If you can't make it for lunch, make your dinner plans. Absolutely. You can do all that. So we're all looking forward to that. But all right, Faith, anything else to add before we head out?
No, I hope everybody has the best day ever and the best week ever.
Absolutely. You're going to have a really, really good week. So
I'm excited.
Absolutely. We do hope everybody has the best day ever and best week ever and a big old
War Eagle.